Here, doggy. Alright, you guys gotta see this. We made a decision the other day to purchase an excavator. So here is my newest addition to the Cunningham backhoe service fleet. My Hitachi 200LC. So got a hydraulic thumb, long undercarriage. It's got a boom leaking, but I'm gonna be changing that out as soon as I get a seal kit in. You can see it's been a little dirty, but anyway, this machine has, I think, 50 some hundred hours on it. Let's look and see here. 5,900, almost 6,000 hours. So it's 25 years old, but that's pretty low hours for a machine of, you know, this size. And by golly, it's even got a CB radio. Got a set of plans I can go work with. So anyway, we'll fire it up here. This thing's just super quiet. I've got to change the control pattern because this one doesn't have a switch. So I'm gonna be changing the hoses. I believe they're under this hood right back here. I'm trying to decide if I want to. Oh, I need a new light. That's kind of crunchy. It's old. The old plastic don't last forever. Anyway, not a bad old machine. I think it's gonna be good for me. I'm hoping to get into doing some land clearing and that kind of stuff with it. It might do a footing or two, but she needs a good cleaning. Floor mat's nasty because the pilot valves leak, and the good thing is the owner gave me a new set of pilot valves to go with it. So radio works, I believe.
12 o'clock, we know the thunder.
AC heater works. 4-foot bucket, and like I say, we got the thumb is operated off of these sticks here. Look like it matches the teeth pretty well. Got a little slack in it. It's not, there's a little slack in that bucket out there, but it's not so bad. Nothing some bushings wouldn't fix. Anyway, I'm anxious to get it out here and do a little tree clearing on my place with it. So anyway, I don't know if anybody ever expected me to buy a excavator. I've always wanted to get one. I always thought I'd get a smaller one than this so I could move it myself, but it's one of them deals, when you got one that's too small, well, it ain't what you need. If you got one that's, you know, I think this is a good size for the work I want to do with it. So anyway, the Hitachi LC. I'm gonna call it LC, I think, because it says LC on the side of it. Anyway, I'm excited. I can't wait to see where this takes us. We're gonna be doing different work. This thing is super quiet. That's wide open. Seems like everything on it works. Oh, it was in economy mode. So I've got a little bit to learn about it. It's got different work modes. Everything seems to work good on it. I mean, this thing has been under one owner for about 20 years. And like I say, he used it, but he took decent care of it. So just got to replace his joysticks. That's probably going to be a pretty good project. and swap out some hoses so we can go do some digging, because I'm a monkey on backwards controls. I just can't run them. So it's got triggers on it too. Okay, so I got this thing. I ended up having to pull all these are the side panel covers that go over the windows. Vandal, oh come on, doggy. Vandal resistant stuff, but anyway, there's a box in there, and it just had this little bolt holding it in place. I couldn't believe that, but anyway, this is the pilot valve manifold, and now I've got to figure out which line goes where. I've got a diagram from a John Deere. I think it's from a John Deere site, but what it is, you got to change two hoses. It's kind of an X pattern. You go from one to the other one, but I got to figure out, make sure I get the right ones here. But anyway, I've got it. You can see there's a bunch of dirt and crap. This had a floor panel in it, so it's going to be a little more difficult to do than what I thought. I thought I'd already have it switched, but that's okay. We'll get there. But I'll probably take the shop vac and scoop some of this stuff out of here. It's a scraper, and kind of clean her up a little bit before I pull any lines loose. Anyway, this is the inside of it. So this manifold block has, I think this is probably the solenoids that you have to activate your lever in the cab to get power to your pilots. And I think that's what that does. Two of them in there. I don't know if one's a safety switch or not sure, but I need to do some, I got to do some learning. I got to know this system a little better, because anyway, it's going to be, there's going to be some things I have to do to it that, you know, down the road I might have to fix something, and I'd like to kind of understand how it works. Anyway, lots of dust in here, and a few sticks and leaves and stuff like that, but really not too bad. I've seen a lot dirtier stuff. So I'm going to study this a little bit. I might end up having to pull the protection off those hoses so I can see what goes where, because I don't want to mess up on this. I'm in a bad spot. I shouldn't have pulled it in the barn like I did, because it one wrong move, and yeah, my barn just got a little taller. So anyway, that's what I'm up to. Like I say, I'm gonna clean all this out. Okay, so I looked in the owner's manual. Owner's manual doesn't show anything about this. This is a John Deere sheet that I printed off. They're showing A, B, C, and D are the hoses you swap. This looks different. So what I'm doing, I went under the machine. I found that this one, or I went under, let's see, this one goes under the machine to the bottom of the boom pilot valve. This one is the boom pilot on top. This one is the crowd. This one is the crowd. This one goes to the bottom. This one goes to the top. So to get this correct, these 4 lines over here are the ones I need to swap. Now, A was over there. This one's lettered A and F. And then we got E and B. So it's different, not easy. So these 2 lines are on the crowd right now. This 2 here. These 2 just beyond that are on the boom. Now the direction has to change on the boom up and down and the crowd in and out. So that's why you got to turn 2 hoses over when you swap them. So the way I understand it, how's that going to work? This is going to become the crowd. Simpler way to do this. This line goes to the top, this one goes to the bottom. This line goes to the top, this line goes to the bottom of the main spool valve. So I'm still deciphering this in my mind. I'm trying to figure this out. It'd be easy if you knew which lever, you know, the up and down, that kind of thing. So do they have to crisscross both ways? So the way it is now, this one was over here on the boom. And this one was over here on the crowd. It's F and E were on the crowd. So which one has to reverse? I think I'm just going to have to swap them and then figure out what I got backwards. So these lines here are going to swap functions. I really need some colored zip ties so that I can put these back where they went. A and B, let's see. I know A was a boom. So we're going to put this black one on A. This way I can get it back correct. I know A was on the top. If I have to swap them back, I can swap them back easier if I got them marked. So what I'm going to do is, if it was on the top and it was black, it's going to get 2 zip ties. And if it was on the boom and top, that was that one. Now if it was on the crowd top, it gets 2 white zip ties. Because your boom up and down, when you swap it, needs to be reversed, I believe. I think. So that was boom up and down top. This is crowd in and out bottom or top. Trying not to damage a fitting here. Kind of hard to get them other two loose. I know there's probably a smarter way to do this than what I'm doing it, but this is how I'm doing it. If I had colored zip ties, it'd make everything handy, but the way I'm doing this, I'll be able to put it right back where it was, and I shouldn't have a problem. Keyword is shouldn't have a problem, but we can always start it up and try the functions a little bit. See if I did good or not. Oh yeah, let's put 2 on top. Just trying to make it easy. So I had to cut all the zip ties off the lines over there, and that's not good because I gotta put them all back. So if I just swap them tit for tat, it's going to be backwards because this one goes to the bottom of the valve and this one goes to the top of the valve over here. Now I'm getting confused. These two are reversed. So should I reverse those? This is the question I got. And I don't know the answer to it. Okay, I think that's off of there. It's just tight. Okay, so that one is E. You got E and B and A and E and B, A and F. A and B went together. Used to be together. So, oh golly, I may have a disaster here before this is over with. Maybe I just need to learn how to run it with the other control pattern. Shit. I can't do that. I just honestly can't do that. So this one went, okay, so let's look at this. This one went to the top. And if I swap it straight across, this one goes to the top. But I think it will need to go to the bottom. So I think that one's going to need to go. I don't know. We'll find out when we start it. But I know this one went to the boom, or I think it did. And it was on the bottom, so it gets one black zip tie. Boom is black, white is crowd. 2 means it was the top line. So what I'm thinking we need to do is put the top one that was crowd on the bottom on that side. You wouldn't think 4 lines would get that damn confusing, but it does change the up and down, the in and out on the crowd and the boom are kind of important to get right. So now we're going to put the boom valve I hate getting lines dirty. I'm going to try swapping this one straight for straight because I think that's the way it goes. I think the crowd's the one that gets, I think the crowd is the one that gets swapped top for bottom. We'll find out shortly. Okay, so that's that one. Pull up a little slack there. The owner's manual on this one does not have any directions about swapping the patterns, which is not very handy. So now got an oily mess under there. I think that oil might have some dye or something in it. I don't have a lot of room for error here because I'm up against the shop door pretty much. So let's see what we got. What a beauty. Okay, so this should be boom up. And it is. That should be boom down. This should be crowd in. Okay, I got the crowd backwards. Alright, so yeah, we got her backwards. So I shouldn't have swapped directions on it. She needs some diesel. About out of fuel. Okay. The worst part is the two I need to swap, or the two in the middle, which means I'm going to have to take all four of them back off. So I was wrong about swapping. It was a simple swap. I should have just swapped them straight across and not reversed them, because I think what they did is reverse. I don't know what they did. Anyway, this is how you learn stuff sometimes. And yes, I've spent time on Google trying to find this answer, and all I could come up with was a John Deere book, but now I can do a detailed swap, and it will be easy to do next time. I bought a pattern change valve, but the fitting size is too small on it, and I don't want to take a chance on putting it on here and not having enough flow, because that could probably be a problem. But to do the pattern change valve, I'm also going to have to get some hoses made. It's going to take a minute to do that, probably. I wonder. Yeah, there's room behind it. There's room behind this panel to do that. Okay, so that one and that one were correct. Or were they? Because this used to be the boom, but now it's the crowd. So, okay. I got the crowd backwards. This is the crowd. This used to be the boom, so what I'm going to do is put This one on the bottom. I about messed up again. I about made it worse. Kind of a pain having to pull all of this stuff apart to get to these, but it's just the way it is. The pattern change valve would be worth the money. Okay, so what I got to remember is when you swap these, the boom hoses actually have to swap places. Crowd stays. No, they swap too. Because I did swap the crowd. Okay. Try again. We got it. So if you got let's say you got a Hitachi 200LC-5, which is what this is, you're going to swap this hose with the one on the bottom. You're going to swap this hose with the one on the top, and vice versa. But what it is, these two hoses are your crowd, or your stick in and out. This is these next two are your boom up and down. But you have to swap for top for bottom, and you're basically making an X pattern with those four hoses. And I mean, if you look at the valve block from this side, this is the left hand side of the machine. If you're facing forward, you got these swap from the left stick to the right, because that runs your crowd. Well, here we are, pretty much disassembled. Trying to decide, I might want to pull this seat base out and just pressure wash it. And there's probably a cover there I could pull off to get a little bit more cleaner around there. Not only do we have oil and grease or sludge from the hydraulic oil, we got a few mice nests, a little dust back in there. I'm going to take the air hose and blow everything out, probably vacuum as much as I can before I do that. But anyway, you can see we kind of got her disassembled. I've been cleaning parts. I went ahead and pulled these floor mat out, duct hoses. I'm going to try to find some more duct hoses. I ended up marking these. The valves are numbered 1, 2, 3, 4, and then I put a little piece of red on the pressure, and the return doesn't have a mark on it, so I should be able to get those back on correctly. Yeah, the seat base is, what is that? A little extra extra piece of steel there. Yeah, I need to tighten the hose up over there, them caps. Got one dripping on the floor, so it's just making a bigger mess. At this point, I mean, I could just clean up the oil and what I can reach with a vacuum. I don't know. That might be what I do. We'll see how I feel about it tomorrow. This has been, I don't know. It's not that bad of a job, but there's, you know, when you don't know what you're doing, it takes a minute to figure it all out. But you got to clean this part up. I've got these two need cleaned. They're just oily. The seat needs a good dusting off. I got these out. I thought if I did some pressure washing, I might try to wash those. But these are the parts I got clean. They cleaned up decent. I mean, you can tell the old plastic's kind of weathered and eat up a little bit. But yeah, most of the plastic's not cracked, and it's still, most of the parts are still okay. That one's got a crack in it, but this is the old valve, and let me show you. Kind of got a mess out here, but I always do. This is one of the old valves. This is the right hand control. These, got those cleaned up. But those, okay. The thing I run into on these new ones, and I need to probably double check all of this because I don't want to get them wrong. This is such a pain in the butt to get to. But there's numbers. You can see the new valve's a little different. So they got a P for pressure, I'm assuming. They got a 3. They got a 2. They got a T for tank, a 1 for whatever 1. This one is numbered as well. It's numbered 3, 4 pressure. Tanks on the bottom. Got 1 and 2 here. So I got to make sure they're ported the same. I may have to take the air hose and just verify by moving a valve and putting a little air through it, see if it, I don't know. I'm assuming if I hook them all up the same as what the numbers are, it should work. But you can see these new ones got a little bit different size plunger in them. Yeah, there's an oily mess right there. Everything's a mess. Anyway, you can, yeah, that's kind of where I'm at right now. But I'm not in a real big hurry to put those together, but I'm gonna have to pull these fittings out, put them in there. Hopefully I get them right. What I'm up to right now is I want to finish cleaning the cab out and start putting it back together. The valves will go in, you know, a little bit later. But I've got this boom cylinder leaks and the crowd cylinder up on top leaks. That one doesn't leak that bad, but I noticed yesterday in a certain spot it was leaking a little bit, and it's been running, you can see it's been running down the boom. And it's hard to clean these up and keep them clean if you got leaks like that. So I got, you can see this one's leaking pretty good. This one's pretty dry, but it all leaks back down here and makes everything look nasty. So the plan, I'd like to get all the grease and sticks out of there, but you know, like I say, there's no point in trying to clean it up until we get some leaks fixed. I'm not really seeing any other leaks on the machine. There may be some somewhere, I don't know. But I don't really have any puddles on the floor. It's not leaking that bad. There is a little slack in the boom bushing. I didn't like that. I didn't really notice it when I looked at it, but I did notice it yesterday when I ran it a little bit. But you know, that can kind of be expected for a 25-year-old machine. Anyway, LC the Hitachi is getting worked over. I plan on, what I'd like to do, and this is kind of how I want to do the oil change, is when I pull those two cylinders, I'm going to have a lot more oil out of the system than if I just change the oil and then change the cylinders, because when you change the oil in these, you don't get all the oil out of the cylinders unless you, I guess if you had another excavator you could actually move the machine with, you could pump the oil out of them, but I don't know if B95 can handle that. So what I'll do is I'll try to get all the cylinders retracted as far as I can. The lift cylinder I don't think will be a big problem to change yet, because I think I can just unpin at the top and lower it down, leave the barrel connected to the machine, and work on it ground level. Now the one on top, that's going to be a different story. I don't know. I'm pretty sure I'm going to have to pull that one off, just for the fact that it's so high. I think it'd be easier probably pull it off, bring it down. So that's kind of where we're at today. And I realized that, you know, I could have probably bought a newer, nicer machine. I could have spent a lot more money, but I kind of have a feeling this one was, you know, it's faded, it's rough, but we're going to make it better. We're going to get it cleaned up. We're going to see how she looks all clean, and we might have to do some paint. I don't know. Like I say, some of this paint, the original paint, looked better than the stuff they sprayed on it. So, you know, there's some stuff in here. I kind of question whether I ought to pull this hose and replace it. It doesn't seem to be bad. And it really doesn't seem to be leaking. I noticed I've got an extra clamp on it, but looks like it may have been leaking at one point, just not washed up. Anyway, that's kind of where we're at today. Like I say, you'll see more videos of this machine. When I get it running, we'll be doing land clearing on my place with it. I've got a project to do with it after that. It's coming up maybe a month or so. So we'll be doing a little bit of that tree clearing, I think. So anyway, that's the plan, that's the deal. This is the new excavator, and I probably ought to explain to you, and maybe I don't think I have, but I wanted to get a machine I could move with my little truck without a permit. And to find a machine like that, you're looking at a 120 size machine, which weighs, you know, what, 30,000 pounds. This one weighs 45,000, and the B95 can't handle it. Or not the B95, the little red can't. It's a single axle truck. I'd be overweight. This thing's 10'6" wide. And I've got a guy that can move it for me for a reasonable price. And until I get super busy and I have to move it myself, if I need it moved right now, you know, at some point I might, you know, we might get a heavier truck and trailer set up. I've got the old winch truck we could use, but I don't know that I want to dive off into that right now. If I can get this thing running and I can get some money made with it, then we'll see where we go from there. Anyway, hope you enjoy the video.